Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Sports here on the Joy News channel with me, Owuraku Ampofo. Head coach of the national amateur boxing team, Owuraku, has told Joy Sports the Black Bombers urgently need a physiotherapist and a nutritionist as they prepare for this year's Commonwealth Games. Coach Asare guided Samuel Techi to win Ghana's only medal at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in Japan, which was the first in 29 years, and he believes with the right support the team would excel in Birmingham.
Yeah, for now, I think what I would want is to have a nutritionist,
Okay.
Or a dietitian, and then a physiotherapist. Even though we are having some physiotherapists who are helping us, they've not been normally appointed to be part of the team. So all of them are doing voluntary.
I see.
Yeah, we have Ishmael and his people at the stadium, and then Bafu also here, who always also come in sometimes to advise the team. I think Trust Emporum is doing very well for us. They managed us when we went to the Olympics and we came with a bronze, and they are still managing us. We thank them very much for all that they are doing for us, because without them, I don't know where we'll be training. You know our history, where sometimes we train and we hit ties and things. It's not the same now.
And the building without the roof.
The building without the roof and so many things. So I think things are a little better now. I cannot say the best, but a little better. And we are also going to take advantage of what we are getting to be able to.
Well, the Commonwealth Games is about 60 days away. So how important are nutrition and physiotherapy in a team's preparation towards the Commonwealth Games, a major competition as such? We are privileged to be joined by nutritionist Renee Opare Otu and sports orthopedics physiotherapist Dr. Jonathan Korte. It's a pleasure to have you both. I think Dr. Jonathan joins us via Zoom, and then Renee is on phone as well. Let me start with you, Dr. Jonathan. You've been in the area of physiotherapy for a while now. How important is such a field, and why do you think, especially in Ghana, we don't focus a lot on sports physiotherapy? Sorry.
Good evening, and thanks for having me on the show. I wouldn't want to say that we don't focus a lot on physiotherapy, but I think that generally we don't pay particular attention to what they term as lesser known sports. Because as far as boxing is concerned, physiotherapy is equally important. Fortunately, I was there with the team in Tokyo 2020, which was held last year anyway. And I particularly was the one who managed Samuel Techi together with the team doctor, because we identified some things even before we left. So we had to even see a specialist. And that all together helped, for him to win the medal, which he won. I and the team doctor kept one.
I think Dr. Jonathan might be struggling with his connection, but we still have Renee Opariotu on the phone lines, and she is a nutritionist. And let me come to you, Renee, whilst we try and reconnect with Dr. Jonathan. It's a pleasure to have you this evening. If you could just run us through the importance of nutrition, especially in a sport like boxing.
Okay, thank you, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. So for nutrition, as a sportsman, we cannot overemphasize its benefits because it can either make you or unmake you. And as a boxer, we know that boxing is a combat sport which demands a lot of energy. We could be estimating the energy requirements to about 3,000 to 5,000 calories, and that's quite a lot. And if you are taking in the energy, is it just empty calories that you are taking, or is also nutrient dense? So as a sports person, you shouldn't just eat for eating's sake. You actually eat with a purpose, because everything that you eat plays a function in your body, either as your output, as the amount of energy that you are using in the activity. even your reflexes, is all the nutrients that you're taking in your meals that is going to give out that output or that effect. So as a sports person, nutrition is actually very, very essential. So first of all, we are looking at the fuel. Like I said, where are you getting your fuel source from? That's going to be from the carbohydrates. What kind of carbs are you having? The quantities that you're having, they're all important. And then after the carbs, you can look at your protein intake also. Protein plays two functions in the role of sports. And the first one is for recovery, and then also repair of worn-out tissues. And we know that as a sportsman, okay, let's take boxing, the subject in question. For boxing, we know that because it's a high combat sport, you can come up with injuries and all that. And so if you're not taking enough protein, it means or your healing process will be quite slow, and that could also lead to infections. And then because it's a sporting activity, it means that your muscles are going to be engaged. How are you replenishing your muscle stores after that, your glycogen stores? How are you helping your sore muscles to heal after that? That's all going to come from the protein that you are eating. That's like your example, your chicken, your fish, your eggs, the plant proteins like the beans. All these are essential. And protein also forms the skin, which is the largest organ, is mainly made out of protein, some fat. And so if you're not getting enough protein, it means that your skin integrity is also going to be affected. You can easily get cuts. With the slightest punch, your skin can just, you can get a cut and then you can just be bleeding. Then we can look at fats also. You need to make sure that you're getting in healthy fats. I know sometimes people will be thinking, as a sports person, you shouldn't eat fats. It's actually not true. But our main concern will be looking at fats and also in the right proportion. And fats help in the absorption of minerals. Example is vitamin K. Vitamins. Example is vitamin K. And vitamin K helps in protein. So if that's a book,
Okay, Renee, I think there's also some slight issues with the sound on the phone call. We'll try and rectify that, but let's try and see whether Dr. Jonathan is also back. And Doctor, I think you were talking about your contribution to Samuel Teshi's success at the Tokyo Games. If you finish touching on that, can you also talk about what the role of a physiotherapist is, especially in the camp of the boxers? Okay, so I think we're still struggling to get Doctor back. But let me just end with you, Renee. From your point of view and what you know, do you think that sports in Ghana, especially boxing, take nutrition that serious? And if that's not the case, why do you think so?
I don't know if any association has a nutritionist assigned to them. If they don't, I think it will be great for them to consider that, because, like I was saying, nutrition is very, very important. And if you're not doing the right things, it can actually cost you. I know that sometimes with the boxers, they try to, because they want to meet a certain age category, sometimes they may try to cut down on their food intake. They may try to take less days or starve themselves so that they can meet the wage requirement. Fine, after you've made the wage requirement, what do you do next? How are you ensuring that you are taking enough energy to meet the demands of the sport? If you're not taking it enough, if you're not taking enough energy, if you're not taking the right nutrients to the costume, you can have the skills, you can have, you could have done all the training, but on that day, if you haven't fueled well enough, even something as basic as fluid or water, if you haven't had enough hydration, it can even affect your how fast your reflexes can be and all that. So nutrition is actually very, very essential. So if they haven't considered it, I think it's about time they do so.
All right, thank you very much, Renee Opariotu, for joining us. And also, we did have Dr. Jonathan Korte, who is a physiotherapist, and He's been in the orthopedics department. Unfortunately, his network cut. But we have to move on here and talk about former communications director of the Ghana Football Association, Ibrahim Sani Dara, who has withdrawn earlier comments that working for the Football Association is a thankless job following the decision of the Ethics Committee to dismiss corruption allegations against him. The Confederation of African Football Media Experts wants to realign with the football governing body and calls for bygones to be bygones.
I consider what I went through
because of the association.
Because of the association, because of the way people I thought were my friends would go out to purposely attack me and the rest. It led me to that conclusion. Today, if I look back, I think a lot of them, perhaps even some that did those things against me, have come out to congratulate and hail me. I would be too wicked in saying that if somebody does a mistake against you and realizes that they've done a mistake against you, and in some way, somehow, they have apologized to you, whether directly or indirectly, to be foolish for me to also stick to my position, earlier position, that is a thankless job. There are opportunities in life. You must know everybody won't like you. Some will like you, some might not like you. If you want everybody to like you, you want to be perfect. Jesus Christ was not liked by everyone. Prophet Muhammad was not liked by everyone. If they are prophets and they were pure and perfect, they were not liked by anyone. What about us? We won't be liked by everyone. So it will be important that I put it on record that I withdraw that statement and realign with the people, even if they hurt me in the past and have today realized that they did me bad, to also realign and say that let bygones be bygones.
Sani Dara ushers us into the Black Star segment of Prime Sports this evening. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, it's time to focus on Ghana versus Madagascar, which takes place tomorrow at the Cape Coast Stadium. Welcome back from the break, and the Black Stars are currently in Cape Coast, and as we speak, fine-tuning preparations for tomorrow's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Madagascar. ATLFM's Abeku Watri joins us via Zoom, via phone lines, to give us details on what's been going on at the Cape Coast Stadium in terms of training and then the press conference. It's a pleasure to have you, Abeku, this evening. Let's start off with the press conference, which ended a couple of hours ago. What most people are talking about was Otoado's response to why Wakaso was included in the squad. First off, let's start. What do you make of what he said in that press conference, especially with the Wakaso comment?
Well, thank you for having me. I feel he struggled a bit in answering that. There are a lot of questions actually he was a bit uncomfortable in answering because I guess he did not have solid answers to such questions. For Owuraku Ampofo, the only response he gave, I guess, was a bit of experience that he will add to the setup. But I feel that it's a long train for the qualifying phases. So if Wakaso is not that active in the scene, probably another person who is active in the scene, would have had an opportunity to feature for the start at a point in time that we need the love to be sustained the most. But I mean, picking feedbacks from his response to the Wakaso question, he was citing examples to the game against South Africa and how Wakaso played in that game. That's a long time ago. To describe the performance of what we deem as what the criteria is for our Black Stars, because we say it should be a player who's active and is playing. He's been absent for some time, but the coach would want a bit of experience. It was not a convincing answer enough for me, but, well, for every selection, there are question marks, and this is such question marks would mention.
And in terms of training, which the team has been doing in the past couple of days at Cape Coast, we had the confirmation that Joseph Edu was injured, had an ankle injury and won't be available for Madagascar. Apart from that, has there been any other issues, or all players are training and are fit and are in contention for the game tomorrow?
That's exactly so. I mean, we asked the coach about first the legacy he would want to leave behind as a head coach in this qualifying period. He qualified Ghana awesomely to the World Cup. What legacy would then love to leave behind? Well, he also again struggled in answering that. Then again, the question posed was on injuries. He mentioned rightly that it was Joseph who wouldn't be part of the setup, but every player is quite fit enough to feature for the start, and he said he have a selection headache because every player has tried in his own ability to lift himself up in these dying stages of getting close to a start 11 for the game against Madagascar. So all the players are sound and in tune. You watch what was happening today on the field of play. Well, you can't exactly use the performance of the training grounds directly into a normal competitive game, but of course, with what they are doing, indeed, he confirmed that there would be a selection headache for the head coach ahead of tomorrow's encounter. From the back to the forward, it will be a tall one for the coach, but for Joseph, we're sorry, he's out. The coach has confirmed that for the rest of the guys, it will be a long one for the head coach.
And just quickly to wrap up on this, you've seen the coach and Andrea, you at the press conference, you've seen some bits of training as well. What do you make of the overall body language of the team ahead of this opener in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers?
Quite positive. Andre will want to start. We all know there were confirmations that he came in earlier to fine-tune himself into the squad training itself proper ahead of the encounter. And it was quite instrumental from Andre's demeanor. The person, he was calm as usual, and he was carefully answering questions with the right words because he was not part of the setup that in the final phases of qualifying the team to the World Cup, which he had so much wanted to play in. But you want to leave a mark. You watched him at training today, and he was training cautiously. I guess he was trying to avoid any injury. To get himself into the start proper for tomorrow's encounter to show his worth with the experience and the kind of goals he's been scoring for our side and all. So, from Andre's demeanor, from the other guys on the pitch of play, I can sum it all up by saying that they are geared on for the competition. You look at Otto himself, he seems he has a personal target he wants to keep away from the media. He has a personal target. I feel he's imbibed that into the boys. You look at they are confident also on the pitch of play, and they would want to do something. I'm beginning to have the strange feeling of Otto not looking at getting one goal and relaxing. He mentioned at the press conference that he would want to leave a legacy of being that coach that you cannot read, that he's able to think faster, you don't know his next action and all of that.
Yeah.
And I guess it is what we'll see tomorrow on the pitch of play, but the demeanor of the boys today.
All right, thank you very much, Abe Kuwatre of ATL FM. Remember, Ghana face Madagascar at the Cape Coast Stadium tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the opener of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. My name is Owuraku Ampofo, and that's how we'll be wrapping up today's edition of Prime Sport here on the Joy News channel. You can get some more stories in the meantime on myjoyonline.com/sports, or you can also follow us on social media at Joy Sports GH across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.